aka Miss WFC Reader, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to my April mid-month wrap-up. So anybody else just feel like April is flying by? I feel like I'm not going to be able to accomplish everything I want to accomplish for this month because the days are just going by so fast. So I'm trying to make the most of when I can to really be productive. I did get some reading done so far this month. Now, it looks a little bit different from my TBR that I had posted at the beginning of the month. One, I added some books, which I talked about on Instagram, but also, I got some library holds in at the right time, and I'm like, okay, it's a library hold. Let me go ahead and read that before I'm, forever in line. So let's get into everything I've read so far this month. So I'm going to start with the children's stuff. I got this one in the mail from Simon & Schuster. It is As the Seas Rise, and it is Nicole Hernandez-Hammer and the Fight for Climate Justice. This is by Angela Quezada Padron. So she wrote and illustrated this about Nicole's life, and sometimes these biographical picture books can go in the opposite direction, where they feel more written for the adults and the child audience. This one I feel didn't do that. It explains Nicole and her upbringing and what brought her to becoming an advocate for climate justice in such an easy to comprehend way. It's going to be a great tool for the future to teach children about climate change in general, but also especially during Earth Month. I kind of wish it was coming out this month, but unfortunately it doesn't come out till June. But it's great to start the conversation. And then we have the Dollars to Donuts series. So April is Financial Literacy Month, and that's something that's very passionate to me because I used to work in a bank, and for years I volunteered in local public elementary schools where we'd go in and we'd team up with Junior Achievement and we teach financial literacy. So they would give me a packet of things that I had to teach for the day with different lessons, with different lesson plans and games, and it was a fun time for the kids because they loved having visitors. It was also a nice little break for the teachers because they didn't have to spend all their time working hard, and then we kind of tie it into what the children are supposed to be learning about. So I always looked forward to those volunteer days, and we were teaching kids how to balance a checkbook, about spending, saving, entrepreneurship. So it was pretty cool to see a series that had all those concepts that we go into the school teaching the kids about in book form. So in the Dollars to Donuts series, I have the first two books, and in book one it's all about spending and credit. So it's teaching the children the difference between debit card and a credit card versus a gift card and paying in cash. And it teaches them a little bit about saving too and using your money wisely. Then in Batter Splatter, it teaches them about budgeting, and they're trying to use their money. They're trying to raise money to get a banner for the school, so they have to figure out what can they make for the bake sale that they have planned that'll bring them in the most money but for the lowest cost. So these were great reads. Again, you don't have to be a teacher or a librarian. You can be a parent, you can be an auntie, an uncle, whatever. Pick these up and pass them along to the little children in your life, because financial literacy starts young. I worked with so many adults in the bank who just had no clue what they were doing with their bank account. It's actually pretty sad. So like I mentioned before, this was kind of a catch-up month for me. I had a few books that I had started that I hopped back into. One of those was The Garden of Eden. I had been reading this since January, and I had put it down for a few weeks and decided to get back into it. It is Christian fiction, which isn't my go-to genre, but I've been exploring reading different stories, and this is a genre I'll pick up every once in a while. So this one is by Rosie Lee, who had gifted me a copy, and it's a multi-generational story. It has different women from this family. They're all loosely based off of biblical women, and they have a family-owned multi-million peanut business, and there's a lot of like infighting between them and animosity and hard feelings. So it's more just like about them learning to put aside their differences and work through the situations that are going on in their own life. This one was okay. I will say that I would have loved for there to be like a central like thing that kind of pulled them together, and I don't feel like there was like that one central event, and it would have just elevated it if there was like one central event. Like, I don't want to say like the family, because you shouldn't always have like the death of a family member to bring your family together, but that might have been needed here. Like, they had some family members die, but it didn't really like pull them together in the way that you think it would. But still, it was interesting reading about this small town that she created, that was black and southern, and a place for free people after slavery ended, and how they kind of protected each other. There were a couple of things in here that kind of mirrored my own life experience a little bit, so that kind of hit hard in certain points for me. And I would definitely check out something that Rosie Lee wrote again. I finally read Warrior of the Wind by Suyi Davies Akumboa, and I'd been meaning to read this since around the time it came out last November, and it kept getting pushed, so I was glad to finally pick it up. I started it at the end of March, so I just carried it into April. And this is book 2, so there's not a whole lot like I can give that wouldn't be a complete spoiler. I did feel like it moved like a little bit slower. I know like book 1 kind of has like a slower pace, but I feel like this one even more so. And at times it could get confusing when we were jumping between the different POVs, because we don't just follow like our 3 main characters, we also follow like different people to side. I liked following Li Long's journey in this one the most, as she kind of figures out what her father was trying to put in place, and she's kind of like battling with that. Danzo, he's like deep in his grief, and everybody's like, why is he acting the way he's acting? He didn't act like that before, because he lost everybody and he feels like his life is meaningless and he just feels like a shell. And then Shemi, ooh, the bad behavior that she displayed in book 1 definitely continues in book 2, and a lot of stuff is happening, but you still do see her more vulnerable side, which I appreciated it, and that kind of explores her relationship with her mother in more depth. So I read Dead Girls Walking by Sammy Ellis. If you follow Sammy online, you know what she sounds like, and it's all over the pages in here. Like, there were times I was reading specific sections where I could just hear her voice aloud. Like, her humor comes through here. And this is a YA slasher type of story. I'm not big into slasher stories, but I decided to pick this one up, and I really like the voices of the characters. I feel like they were very distinct. So we're following Temple, and her father is a serial killer who's currently in jail, and that's something she's trying to keep hidden because she was really bullied about it at her previous school, and she's working as a camp counselor at this camp, and stuff starts going down. And that's all I'm gonna say without spoiling it. But like, it got a little bit slower for me in the middle, but then it picked up towards the end, and I'm just like, ooh. Next I have Out of Office. This is by A.H. Cunningham. I had never read an A.H. Cunningham book. Like, I know a lot of people are really into her erotica, and that I just like had never picked up those. There is plenty of spice here if you're interested in that, though I saw somebody describe it as closed door. I don't understand what closed door means at this point, because I feel like the door was wide open during some of those scenes. So if somebody like has a good definition of closed door, I'd love to hear it in the comment section below. But we're basically following the, Genevieve, who is this workaholic. Like, her mom has been instilling in her for years, like, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to rise to the top. And just how to navigate corporate as a black woman. She works in the hospitality industry, which is very male dominated and cutthroat. I also used to work in the hospitality industry, so I know how it is. And she is trying for this promotion. So she was down in Panama doing some work, and then she decided to extend it and have a little bit of vacation time. And she meets this transportation driver named Adrian. He owns the business, but he also sometimes does the drives. And so she got used to him picking her up every day. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm about to go to this town. And he's like, yeah, that's my hometown. He's like, why don't you come with me and we can see like what's going on between us, see like if this spark is really there. They go and she spends time with his family and the sparks are sparking. And then I like how it shows what happens after like the lovey-dovey of that, like each vacation. So not like where they're really actually trying a relationship and how they fit into each other's lives. I don't usually see books explore that because they'll kind of just like end with choosing that person. So I appreciated how it did that. I could have taken like just a little bit more on Adrian's, and I feel like he wasn't as developed as Jen because she just was battling a lot more, and he was very sure of himself and his goals and what he wants, and she was still kind of figuring that out, like how to balance work with family and having a love life, and looking at her mom who has instilled in her like strive to be the best, and she had to really think about what the best looks like for her. But overall, I did enjoy this one, and I will be checking out another one by this author. So that's everything I read during the month of April so far. Let me know if any of these sound interesting to you. If you like this video, make sure and hit that like button. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!